Okay, thank you. We're at that point in the agenda where we have the Two-Year Education and Community College Committee, which is chaired by Regent Kraus. Regent Kraus?
Thank you, Chairman Tuss. So I think the strategic plan presentation set us up nicely, and we'll be going into some of the nuts and bolts about that. But before I turn it over to John Seck, Dr. Seck, we have an opportunity to celebrate here today, and it's a big payoff for us today. You know, the work we do is, and everyone in this room does, represented by some students here today. These are 3 students who received the Phi Theta Kappa recognition. They were nominated by their faculty for membership into the Montana chapter. They must have had a grade point average of 3.5 and adhere to the standards of the society. And in addition, we have a Miles City Community College student who's been named as one of just 51 Coca-Cola New Century Scholars, which is a program that honors outstanding community college students in America, Canada, and American Samoa. So, I think I'll have Jack C. Idland, a sophomore from Circle, speak first, introduce herself and speak first. But thank you for agreeing to talk today and share your experiences with her. We really appreciate it.
And thank you. Good morning, board members.
You might have to get a little closer and point that right at your mouth, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes.
Morning, members of the board. My name is Jaxie Idland, and I am currently a sophomore at Miles Community College, and I am in the egg production degree. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about my community college experience. Some of my background: I'm originally from Circle, and I lived about 10 miles out of town on a farm and ranch. And I've always been very interested in the agriculture industry, and I'm very eager to play my own role in the egg industry in my future. I'll tell you a little bit about how I found Miles Community College and why I decided to go there. As a senior in high school, I wasn't quite sure how long I wanted to go to school or what kind of a degree I wanted to pursue. All I knew was that I wanted to be involved in agriculture, and I kind of wanted to be close to home my first couple of years. And MCC provided both of these options, so I decided to visit their preview day. When I got there, the staff was all very friendly and very helpful. I liked the environment and the community in Miles City. So I applied to MCC and was accepted, and upon graduating in May of 2012, I enrolled there in the following fall semester of that year. Some of the things that I really like about Miles Community College that I noticed right away was the number of students per class. This allows for a more personal level with the instructors and staff members. It averages in my A classes from about 10 to 20 students, so I really liked that. I became very engaged in my classes and excited about them as well. This led to academic achievements and my invitation into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society on campus. And I've had a lot of wonderful experiences through this honor society. I've enjoyed it a lot. I've had many leadership opportunities, and I've become a lot more involved on campus and in the community. One example of a leadership opportunity that I was able to have was coordinating a food drive in the community there for the Custer County Food Bank, and that was very beneficial to me, and it was really nice to see that come together. I was also awarded with the Coca-Cola New Century Scholarship and the All Montana Academic Team. And these experiences through Phi Theta Kappa and through Miles Community College have really boosted my confidence. And before, I was unsure of whether or not I wanted to continue my education. And after this, I have now decided to get my bachelor's degree. And I have applied to Dickinson State University, and I will be going into their integrated ranch management program. I have gained a lot through my education and connections at MCC. I received the opportunity to get a job and an internship at a prominent research facility called Fort Keogh Livestock Range and Research Laboratory. My advisors from MCC and coworkers here have been wonderful mentors and encouragement for my future, and they've given me very many wonderful connections in the egg industry. And I've even recently considered adding a master's degree to one of my future goals. So I'm grateful for the opportunities I have gained through my community college experience. So, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and this is quite the group to speak in front of, so I would say that your confidence level has risen for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe beyond mine, I would say. So the next person I'd like to hear from then is Eva Maydal from Great Falls College.
Hi, my name is Eva Maydal. I attend Great Falls College here. I come from Slovak Republic, and I first enrolled in 2009. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, like my husband, and I observed the classroom, and I decided I would rather have a root canal than be a teacher. So at that time, I was taking full credit load and working full-time nights, and that was a lot. So I took a year, I withdrew to collect my thoughts, and I worked in a nursing facility, and I discovered I really like old people. So I was encouraged to go to school. I thought, well, I'm a foreigner. I don't really like cadavers. Maybe I don't have what it takes, so I'm just gonna go the safe route. I'll go for the PTA program. So I started in that direction, and we have some wonderful, wonderful faculty and advisors here in Great Falls. And one of my teachers said, you have a really inquisitive mind. You always want to know why and what and how and what can be done. She said, you should go on to become a nurse. And so through this experience, I think I have learned that I can overcome obstacles and challenges that I didn't think that I could meet head on, and that just being a foreigner, doesn't mean anything. And I am what we call a non-traditional student, which is really just an euphemism for saying you're old. So I have raised my 3 children, and they turned out pretty well. So it's my turn, and I have just loved everybody on our campus. They have encouraged me. They have brought me through some hard times. And yesterday I received my acceptance letter to the Bozeman RN-BSN program. So yes. I just want to say that our advisors and all of our faculty, they don't just do their job. They care about us. I mean, they pour their lives into us. They literally love us through difficulties. They encourage us. They don't let us quit. I mean, there are times when my life was so difficult, I just thought, oh, I'm just gonna quit. And they were like, no, you're not just gonna quit. And so here I am, and I have been accepted, and it's a tribute to all the hard work that all of you here in Great Falls do. I appreciate it. I mean, you have changed my life. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very inspirational. Thank you. And from, let's see, hang on a second. Also from Miles City Community College, Lena Slate. Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Commissioner Christian, and deputy commissioners, it is a great honor to address you this morning. I would like to take a few moments to share how my 2-year college experience at Miles Community College has been a beneficial part of my education journey. I will graduate with my associate's degree in liberal arts in May. There are several reasons why I chose to attend MCC, and I am very glad that I did. A college education is a huge expense. Living at home for the first 2 years has saved a tremendous amount of money. Every time I deposit money into my savings account, I remember that other students are borrowing money that I don't have to right now. I've come to appreciate the small school atmosphere. I am appreciative of the personalized attention I receive from my instructors. All of them have taken an interest in me personally and have helped me build confidence in myself. This personalized attention has made the transition from high school to college a smoother one. It's also been a wonderful opportunity to be at home with my parents for a little longer. It is a joy to see my dad, who happens to be an MCC instructor, around campus every day. I know that when I finally do leave home, I will be that much more mature and less likely to make some of the foolish mistakes that students away from home for the first time often make. Miles Community College has presented me with some wonderful leadership opportunities. I was inducted into our chapter of Phi Theta Kappa last spring, and this fall I was elected president of our chapter. I try my hardest to be the best scholar I can, and being a part of Phi Theta Kappa has given me added incentive to live up to the ideals of that organization. It has been great to get to know others who want to make the most of our time at MCC. The purpose of PTK is to recognize and encourage scholarship among two-year college students and to provide opportunity for the development of leadership and service. Our chapter is active and has done some worthwhile activities to benefit our campus and community. Some of our activities have included visiting nursing home residents, holding bake sales to benefit the soup kitchen, and sponsoring food drives to donate to the food bank. Having the fantastic experiences that I've had at MCC has been a major contributing factor in my decision to attend MSU Billings in the fall. I love Eastern Montana and I want to stay there. When I visited the campus last October, I already felt at home. I will appreciate the benefits of a bigger university while benefiting from personalized attention similar to what I have been receiving at MCC. I know that as I pursue my studies in English and art there, I will look back with fondness at my two-year college experiences. I would just like to say that I am grateful to you, the board, for all you do to foster quality education in Montana. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you, and I think a round of applause for all three. So I think there was something about the why, and we just heard the why, so we really appreciate it. We're going to get a little drier. Also, I just wanted to express a little gratitude for the to the people around Miles Community College and the taxpayers there who support their institution so well. I know they pay a big premium to have a community college in their area, and I really appreciate that, them offering that opportunity. Thank you, the three of you. If you want to stick around, you can, but I really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Seck.
Thank you, Chairman Kraus, and Jaxie, Lena, and Eva, congratulations, and you did a great job. Thanks for volunteering to share a few words. And I'd also like to recognize
Yes, thank you.
Jaxie's parents who are with us, Rhonda and Kenny, if they would stand, please, and be recognized. All right, great, great. And Lena's mother, Carol Lee, who is with us, if she would stand. Great. And I'd also like to mention that Jaxie will be awarded in Washington, D.C., the Coca-Cola New Century Scholar next month. And she's one of 51 in the United States receiving it out of 1,700 nominees. So that is really cool.
Yeah, it is. And John, could you read the other?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Could you read?
have.
Thanks. Yeah.
We have 3 other nominees with us today, and I am going to share with you a bit about them, and if they would come forward and stand as I read some information about them. The first is Andrea Bullock from Kalispell, and a student at Flathead Valley Community College. And she is a student pursuing support professional. Andrea, are you here? Oh, great, there you are. And she's very excited. After finishing at Flathead Valley Community College, she plans to remain in the Valley and begin her work on pursuing her Bachelor's of Applied Science degree in business. Her husband has been working in the Bakken and to support the family, and she has really enjoyed and appreciated her opportunity to work hard to go back to school, and as she noted in her summary, to really be an inspiration to her children and to communicate with her children at basically sharing thoughts and connections about what it means to go to school and study and do homework and so forth. She completed an AmeriCorps service team leadership capacity position, and she served as an inspiration to many students in that role. In addition, she has taken on a leadership role as the secretary of Phi Theta Kappa at Flathead Valley Community College. So, Andrea, thank you very much for your work and excellence. Now I would like to ask Darian Haney to come forward. From Flathead Valley Community College, from Billings, pursuing an Associate of Applied Science in Culinary Studies. And Darian graduated from Flathead Valley actually last year with an Associate of Applied Science degree in Culinary Arts. She's pursuing her Business Management degree at Montana State University Billings, where she is a cheerleader, which is really cool. She hopes to one day open her own restaurant, and is a former member of the Phi Theta Kappa and an active volunteer in her community. And she noted in her application that while attending Flathead, she volunteered at her local elementary school, teaching 5th grade, and also helping construct houses for Habitat for Humanity. While studying culinary arts, she utilized her skills volunteering at Glacier High and Flathead High, preparing breakfasts and lunches for students. She graduated from Skyview, the high GPA 3.6, and she was a school cheerleader, played tennis, and a member of the competitive dance team. This June, she plans to spend 2 weeks traveling to DC, Philadelphia, New York, and Los Angeles to study business and entrepreneurship. Congratulations, well done. Michelle Lone Bear tried to get here this morning and had to turn around due to icy roads and freezing rain. She is from Ananakota College in the Allied Health program, but as I understand, she is watching live via the internet right now, thanks to Montana PBS. And what's exciting is she is completing her Allied Health program from Ananakota College. She plans to attend the 4-year program to become a registered nurse to go back and serve her community. She is currently in her 2nd year at Ananakota College and has excelled in her academic studies and has earned a spot on the president's list. She has had the opportunity to take on many leadership roles, as well as being a positive influence on her fellow students by serving on the Student Senate at the college, as well as a student representative, where she is continuously focusing her time and fundraising efforts. She is always available to participate in local community activities. She's earned a certificate in nurse's aid and phlebotomy, and attending college was a big step for her. Prior to college, she was taking care of 3 children and ensuring that they succeeded in school. But at the same time, she wanted to complete her education. When the opportunity came, she was out the door experiencing new things and demonstrating that what she always had in her, and that was intelligence. So we hope you're watching, and We wish you so well, and congratulations, Michelle.
You know, John, I didn't violate one of my first rules of procedure and read all of the slides, but since you read the three for the people that weren't here, maybe you should read the three for the people that spoke today. So, could you do that for us?
I think they shared their stories
Okay,
pretty well.
all right,
so
okay.
You bet. You bet.
Well, good.
And
Then we can do that
asked
from
each of
now
the
on, right?
students- we asked each of the students who would like to share some thoughts. So
Right.
You bet.
Okay, well,
And then we have
we're
one
not slighting
final,
you by not
one
reading
final
your slides.
student,
Oh,
Stacy Luongo, also from Great Falls College, pursuing an Associate of Science degree. And Stacy, are you with us today? Great. And Stacy, she plans to pursue her degree in nursing through MSU Bozeman as well. As we know, there's a huge demand for nurses in the country and in the state, and we're witnessing some success today. She's a mother of 4 children. She began college as a non-traditional student and originally intended on obtaining her degree in graphical design, but as her background in art, she also had the desire to follow a passion in science. With the encouragement of her family and professors and mentors, she decided to take on the challenge of pursuing her degree in nursing. In January 2013, the Great Falls branch of the American Association of University Women selected her as the sole recipient of the AAUW Non-Traditional Scholarship. And in May 2013, she was elected vice president of the Beta Eta Omicron chapter of the College of Great Falls College, MSU, and will continue her role as an officer until 2014. She's progressing through her role in the chapter, and she's organizing seminars to introduce students and faculty to upcoming stress management and focusing on scientific research performed at the Institute for Heart Math in fall of 2012. So, Stacy, congratulations. And and the final item is I would like to ask the 3 presidents, President Karras, President Klippenstein, and Dean Wolf, to come forward, and we will give them their certificates, the students their certificates and medals.
hey, are we gonna get our picture taken? Yeah.
So we will start with Andrea Bullock. Darianne.
Okay. Well, I'll get my technology back here. And the next item on the agenda then would be the comprehensive two-year mission expansion report. Dr. Seck.
Mr. Chair, we'll make this pretty quick. As you recall, about a year ago, this board approved the comprehensive mission expansion plans for the 5 former colleges of technology, Gallatin College and Bitterroot College. The board, when they approved those programs, next slide, please. When they approved those programs, they asked for the colleges to report back once a year to talk about the expansion of the plan, the success of the implementation of the plans. The plans relate back to the comprehensive 2-year mission, which was approved by this board, and then deals with the initiatives related to the implementation of that mission. Next slide, please. The college initiatives relate back to the college goals, and the college goals then, of course, relate back to the comprehensive mission. Next slide. The campuses have been working on these plans. They worked on the updates for the plans, and I think they have done an absolutely fantastic job. And if you have a chance to review the plans, they really tell a very good story. One of the things that we'll be working on this spring is I'll be spending some time with each of the 7 colleges to learn more about the initiatives, developing a summary of those initiatives, and then we'll follow up later next summer with meetings with the commissioner, the presidents, and chancellors to talk about just how the comprehensive mission expansion is coming. Next slide. This gives you a summary, which is present, providing you with a look at the original initiatives and where each of the colleges are with the completion of those initiatives. Next slide. And the initiatives are centered around the comprehensive mission, which includes transfer education, workforce development, developmental education, lifelong learning, community development, the rebranding of the colleges, and then there's a variety of other general initiatives involved. Next slide. Obviously, this is a long process. When we presented it last year, it's about a 5-year process. And in short and in conclusion, I'm very pleased with the work that's taken place at each of the colleges. Next slide. Thank you.
Questions about that? Questions about the expansion report? Yes.
This is for Deputy Commissioner Seck. I had a conversation with a community member a couple of weeks back, and he mentioned that the Montana University system is one of the few in the United States with significant 2-year incorporation. Is that correct?
Regent Rogella, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So this gentleman mentioned that there's many states out there, and Montana's kind of an anomaly about having significant collaboration and incorporation between the 2-year and 4-year systems, and that in most states, 2-year and 4-year remain quite distinct. Is that correct?
I think there's a fair bit of truth to that assessment. The one thing that is true about governance of 2-year education in the United States is that very few states are the same. They're very different. And I think one of the things that this process has really proven to me, and I can speak both as a 9-year veteran as dean of the MSU Billings College of Technology, now City College, and now deputy commissioner for 3 years. I think this brings a lot of advantages that other states don't have, because in many states you have the community college system and the university system as 2 separate standalone systems trying to figure out ways to communicate and build things like articulation and pathways. here, it's natural. And it's something that I think we're doing very, very well, as demonstrated by a number of our initiatives, from dual credit, DevEd, our tuning initiative. You know, we have 4-year and 2-year people all sitting together, working together for the good of the students. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question, but I'm pretty happy with the way our system is set up.
I would add to that, you know, we have the 2-year colleges that are not community colleges, but I think even the community colleges have been so willing to be part of the university system as a whole, and that's a credit to their governing bodies as well, their additional governing bodies. So that's a big piece of it too, that we're working so well with the other 3, with the 3 community colleges. Yes, Major Robinson.
Chairman Kraus, thank you. Dr. Sek, I want to thank you for giving us the highlights on the report, and I want to ask that you pass along our gratitude to your campuses for working on this. This is like what Commissioner Christian had said earlier. You know, we do go through this information. It's important for us to understand what's going on each campus. And this really does highlight a lot of progress that's being made, and also what they're looking at for new initiatives as well. So this is really helpful to us, especially when we get into conversations in the community, to speak intelligently to what's going on to these different campuses. So we really appreciate the report and everything, and bringing that forward to us. Thank you.
So, Dr. Sek, was there anyone else? Sorry. Yes, Dr. Cruzado.
Yes, Regent Krause and Regent Rogala, on the topic about the different configurations in the states, and I don't think how much I like being called an anomaly, but in reality, we are not an exception. We are not the only ones out there. I remember in my previous experience in the state of New Mexico, it was very similar. So in that case, New Mexico State University has 4 affiliated 2-year campuses, and University of New Mexico has 4 affiliated 2-year campuses. And it's exactly the same configuration and many of the same vital conversations, in that first they were known as branches. As the thinking evolved, it was realized that only banks and streets and rivers have branches, but that they were supposed to be campuses considered as an integral part of the educational component in New Mexico. So at least I'm very familiar with that model. I don't know if in South Dakota, Royce, there's a similar model.
Dr. Engstrom.
Yes, thank you. Actually, in South Dakota, the 2-year system is separate, and it's run by essentially by the K-12 system there. And so it is quite different than ours here.
Which was the old VOTEC model.
It grew out of that.
Yeah. Well, I think we're pioneers, given where we started in this state and where we're trying to head, as was presented in the strategic plan. We're pioneers in what we're trying to do. So maybe not anomalies, but pioneers. Yes,
Regent
Commissioner
Krause, I would just say, I think we do owe some gratitude to both the Constitutional Committee that put us under one system, and then ultimately the restructure. I'm certain you can find people around the system on any given day that think possibly it should be one way or the other. But yeah, I don't think we're an anomaly at all, but there are states that do it different. I mean, California even has division between the land grants. The California state universities are separate from University of California system. And, you know, I had the pleasure of talking to Charlie Reed, who was head of that system in my spot. He said of all regrets within the system, that was it to him. It was a nightmare to try to coordinate both for funding and just the logistical movement of students. And, you know, a lot of what we've done with Common Course numbering and the headway we're making, I think, is attributed to sort of the foresight of those before us to say we're all higher education, we're one system. Idaho actually has one system for K-12 through higher education. And some of our partners there will tell you there's some good working relationships that grow out of that. The more association, I think we've been fortunate that we work closely with our partners in K-12, but the more collaboration, the more association, I think ultimately serves students well. Not always the institutions as well as they would like, but I think students are very well served by that. That's a good question.
Dr. Rogala, yeah.
Hopefully never.
Hey,
And
Regent
so
Rogala.
this is an interesting conversation, and not one that I want to really spend time on, because it's when the two-year institutes have more separation from the four-year, obviously there's more autonomy to direct their missions effectively or more quickly, right? But there's also incredible opportunities that comes with leveraging an entire system towards a variety of different benefits. We see that with the TACT grant. We see that with the rebranding and with the marketing initiatives that we've developed in the last year and a half. So it's more of just an inquisitive question, not really meant to drive any point home.
Well, it's a good point of conversation, and I think it emphasizes a couple of things you pointed out, and so thank you for that. Dr. Seck? You didn't add anything to that, but I was wondering, we're not going to go through the plans one by one, but they are available.
Yes.
And as Regent Robinson told us, required reading, so thank you. And I would say we are on to Developmental Education Council.
Mr. Chair, if we could move into dual enrollment and then
okay.
we'll close with developmental education.
All right, well, maybe I have an old agenda or something, but I'm flexible, right? Just like those community colleges are.
I'm very pleased to report some progress on our work with dual enrollment. Deputy Commissioner Moisey and I have been co-chairing the dual enrollment task force, which has been meeting quite frequently since it was created in the fall. And we've also been taking a look at some other systems and some research to see how we can use that to inform the work that we're doing. And I would just like to drive home some highlights of a fairly significant body of research provided by the Columbia University Community College Research Center. And it boils down to about 4 points. Dual enrollment results in increased college enrollment, increase enrollment in that students who participate in dual enrollment have a much higher likelihood of going to college. It results in persistence, higher persistence once the students actually enter college. It results in greater credit accumulation, faster accumulation and faster completion, which saves the student time and money. And dual enrollment students typically have a higher GPA once they enter college as compared with non-dual enrollment students. Something else that's really interesting about dual enrollment and the research supports is that dual enrollment is associated with greater than average gains for the low income, lower achieving students, and male students. And it's important to mention the male students because nationally we are seeing fewer male students going to college than we used to. And so that's something that we need to make sure that we can hopefully turn around as we move forward. As you know, the legislature and the governor provided through OTO funding about $1 million to grow dual enrollment and workforce development initiatives. We devoted about $640,000 of that to dual enrollment and actually set up a performance-based funding model for dual enrollment. For the first semester that has been enacted, I'm happy to report that 11 of the 12 campuses witnessed growth in their dual enrollment for fall 2013 versus fall 2012. Our headcount in dual enrollment grew about 36%, and our FTE grew about 33%. So each of the 11 campuses received approximately about $18,000 to reinvest in their dual enrollment programs. And now, Amber, if you could go to the recommendations with recommendation 1 on the handout at the top of the handout. The task force has been working on several recommendations that we feel are really important to grow all forms of dual enrollment. And basically, the first recommendation, which we're really saving until we get a handle on the other recommendations, which is to look at what we can do to increase the number of teachers in high schools around the state who have a master's degree and meet Board of Regents qualifications. It means they have at least 9 graduate credits in the discipline. Some of the campuses are using their $18,000 to help give teachers stipends in their communities to earn those credits. That's one thing that's already happening with the money that we have. Recommendation number 2 is focusing on the Class 8 license for college faculty who teach dual enrollment and looking at opportunities that maybe we can streamline that, make that a little more efficient. And we've had some good conversations there with the Board of Education, CISPAC, Certification Standards and Practices Advisory Council, and Deputy Commissioner Moisey and I will be continuing those conversations. Recommendation 3 is something that I think is coming together very quickly and we'll be bringing to this board in May, and that's creating consistent standards in the university system regarding concurrent enrollment. And we're working on a standard interlocal agreement guideline, working with our task force and representation from the Board of Public Ed and OPI. That subgroup is making some really good progress, and I fully expect to have something to bring to you in May. And then recommendation 4, we're working on implementing a pilot that would allow national board certification for within a disciplinary focus to be considered as an alternative for the 9 graduate credits for a national board certified teacher who may already have a master's degree and has national board certification. And we're in the final stages of that effort in launching a pilot this fall. And then recommendation 5 is reviewing the dual enrollment student application process and how we present it to the students. That subgroup is looking at creating a consistent template for campuses to use to display their dual enrollment in an online environment, a web-based environment. Then we're going to link all of that to a website at OCHI so that we can provide a bird's eye overview of dual enrollment that's going on in the state, from online dual enrollment partnering with the Montana Digital Academy to dual enrollment offered at the college, early college types of environment as well, and concurrent enrollment, which is basically dual credit offered at the high school by qualified teachers. So we're excited about that and want to have a pilot for fall 2014, including a pilot involving electronic registration. So the last thing I'll close with is we've been working with MSU Billings, City College, and the university to grow dual enrollment in that community. You may have noticed some of the articles that have been in the Billings Gazette and the editorial that was in the Gazette a couple of days ago. There's a lot of support in Billings for this. The MSU Billings is really stepped up, is really excited about this. So is School District number 2. And the Billings Education Association is on board. And so they have a pretty solid pilot that is going to be launched this fall. And Provost Pagano is calling a meeting, I believe, next Tuesday to start working on spring, and how can that be ramped up for spring. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Good. This is one where our partners are heavily involved, and you didn't raise your hand, but okay, all right. I thought maybe the superintendent had something. Is there, should we hear any insights from? Yes.
Regent Krause,
Chancellor
Dr. Steck.
Blackhead.
I'd just like to make one point when I look at your recommendation number 3, and it talks about, and I know you know this, Dr. Steck, but in the fine print there, it talks about the document provides guideline for outlining faculty approval. And I would really encourage you to look at making that more system-wide, as opposed, we were talking about the benefits of having system-wide, community college 2-year, and take some of the parochial aspects of individual departments even around, and I won't go into the details, about these, but I would really encourage you to make that, because if one particular institution doesn't approve but another one approves of faculty, the credits still transfer. It's an awkward situation. I would just highly encourage you, there may be differences of opinion, but take that and make that more at a system level so we can move those forward quickly. Could be a system-wide committee that does approvals once or twice a year or something, but thank you, Dr. Steck.
Chancellor Blackheader.
Yes, thank you. And you got called out. Did you want to say anything too? A little bit. You were very prominent last week in the Billings Gazette.
Well, since I'm on the spot, I will.
I'm sorry about that, but
No, be happy to. Yes, we've had a series of 3 very productive meetings with Terry Dowk's staff, 2 of the executive directors and union representative. We've met around a table. John attended the first meeting. We've had our faculty there, and we've made great progress. We have a plan for the fall that involves all of the high schools in Billings, at least 1 or 2 courses at every high school. And then this next Tuesday, we're going to finalize the details of that pilot and start talking about spring. That's what John was referring to. So it's moving very quickly in Billings.
I appreciate your willingness to share. We talk about it, Regents hear about it at this theoretical level, and it's really good to hear sort of the practical nuts and bolts side of it. So thank you for sharing that.
I'll share a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate our partnership with Higher Ed and the Commissioner's Office and getting together on this issue. It's moving a little too slowly for me, but I know how the Regents work. And I would encourage, there's another work group after another work group. And I guess my question would be, what's the timeline on moving forward with something that's solid?
Well, that is a good question.
Mr. Chair,
Dr. Sack.
Superintendent Juneau, May.
Well, I appreciate that timeline. It's just, we have to kind of push this out there. It's a governor's priority. We've been working really closely with the commissioner's office on this, and I do appreciate, the coming together of minds to try to develop some sort of streamlined process to make sure that high school students have access to college credit. And it's a benefit economically to students and to families. We know that when they take those classes, they're going to be retained and graduate at higher numbers. And it's one of the transition issues we've been looking at. We have a great partnership with Higher Ed around ACT, College Application Week, trying to really streamline those processes for high school students who are graduating at greater numbers to transition primarily into the Montana University system is where we'd like to keep them home. And so the more that those opportunities can be spread around the state and not just where there are colleges in the town as well, into our rural areas also need to be really addressed, the better off our state will be. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, and I know that the commissioner is about to point out that we think that the biggest gains we can make in almost anything we do here are through this dual enrollment, dual credit process. So, all of the regents are committed to, I think, the same goal as the governor and the superintendent. So, but thank you for reminding us we should set some marks and achieve them. Commissioner Christian.
Absolutely. We want to work closely. Obviously, we feel compelled to get this right, and that means making it a win for the students, but also for the system, and something that I think we can really embrace as a state. We will work closely with you to roll this out, and you know, I think that's the key part of this. We're all on the same page, really touting the opportunity that exists there. It truly is a way to get at a lot of your goals for graduation and graduation rates and prepared students. It's an absolute key to getting at a lot of our goals, which is those students are where we need them because they've had a rigorous senior year and they're engaged and they're involved and they come to us with credits in hand, and you know, that gets at the heart of so much that we're trying to do in terms of time to degree and completion, retention. All those things are benefited by heavy use of dual enrollment. And I would say, and you know this, but we have not been in any way trying to drag our feet, but I feel like it is such a key piece of the puzzle for us that I really, really want to see us get it right. I want to see us get it done too, and I appreciate that, and it is very important to this board, as you say, to the governor and to your office. We just want to know that it's right to the extent that we will have wide success with it and not sort of pockets of success because we pushed here, we pushed there. I want to make it where it is available to all. Interestingly enough, the numbers, which have been sort of surprising to me, in many cases, we're doing a better job reaching out to some of the smaller schools than we are to some of the larger schools. And that actually is extremely surprising to me. The good news of that is in terms of low-hanging fruit, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in some of the cities with colleges located in those areas. And so I think as we move this forward, as the Michael Collins flywheel starts to take effect, we will see a lot of movement. But we need to work closely with you guys to make sure that that movement is embraced, that it's understood. We need to work closely with your high school advisors to make sure that students know what a tremendous opportunity this is for them, and that we truly have that opportunity in front of them. So we'll work hard to get that done and get it done soon.
Well, I appreciate that, and we stand ready to assist in any way to make sure we're progressing in all of these efforts and all of our partnerships. And I really, truly do appreciate you working with us and us working with you and really solidifying a lot of great things that are benefiting high school students and families across the state. And this is a key component of that.
So I have Regent Robinson, Dr. Makwa, and then Regent Albrecht, if I could. So, Regent Robinson.
Thank you, Chairman Cross. Just a couple quick questions to Deputy Commissioner Seck. You'd mentioned having the community colleges participate with this effort. I'm just curious which ones or how many of them. And my second question would be, I've heard at least anecdotally from folks that some of the tribal colleges are participating. Do you know of any of the tribal colleges that are participating?
Mr. Chair, Regent Robinson, all of the community colleges are participating in the dual enrollment initiative. Yes, through our Carl Perkins program, we've been working with several of the tribal colleges to provide some funding to help with the Big Sky Pathways implementation process, which includes dual enrollment as a part of that.
Thank you. Dr. Makwa. It just says faculty representative. I guess we can't afford a new plate every year, but
I guess that doesn't help too much. But thank you, Chair Kraus. And I want to say that over the course of the year, it does appear that at a snapshot view that it's moving slowly, but there's definitely a lot of positive momentum. And I do appreciate moving forward cautiously as well. This initiative really hits on a lot of the success agenda items, the guiding principles of access and affordability and efficiency. I mean, it's just really hitting on those very, very well. One thing I would encourage is that, that overarching underlying theme of quality that is in our success agenda. And I know that the committee has looked at that and continues to look at that. But I guess I just don't want to, I want to emphasize that even stronger in those capital letters. in terms of what Chancellor Blackletter brought up about recommendation 3. I do think it's important to get as much faculty involvement across the system as possible, and not just at our entry-level courses to the 4-year and the flagships, but following on that. We see these students matriculate into engineering programs and other programs, and we want them to be successful. And so I would encourage as much as possible to collect data and to track these students, not just to chart successes and maybe places that aren't so successful, but to look for ways of continuing to improve the whole system and how we deliver it. So thank you.
Thank you. That is very helpful contribution. Regent Albrecht.
Chair Kraus, Dr. Seck, can you speak to the unique challenges in eastern Montana with regard to how you're addressing those in engaging those students, those high school students, so that they will consider the opportunities that can be provided in going to school, as opposed to just jumping into that high-paying dollar wage that the Bakken might provide?
Mr. Chair, Regent Kraus, I would like to ask if one of the two presidents from Miles or Dawson would have any interest in coming forward and helping to answer that question.
See, we're an equal opportunity on the spot provider.
Mr. Chair, Regent Albrecht, there are a couple of things that in eastern Montana, as we look at the size of schools, and one of the things that I'm proud of is that going into this spring, we advanced the amount of dual enrollment opportunities. And with that, we were able to branch out into some smaller institutions to take a look at, such as Baker High School, and offer with what they wanted, as well as we listened to them about next fall and spring with some welding opportunities. So things that would probably support in a way for their movement, maybe not going right away into the system, but at least going on to maybe the Bakken and then coming back, but giving them some trained opportunities for them and combined with that with the high schools. So we are advancing. We're running about right now 35 FTE through Miles Community College, with branching out into about 7 different communities or high schools with our dual enrollment, as well as we're looking at some new connections with Custer County High School, with some new opportunities there with developmental education and other opportunities that can allow them to go on to either institution or at least gain some new skills.
Thanks for the question. I think really 2 things that I'd like to speak to. One is working with employers to send messages to those high school students that, yes, you might be able to enter the workforce directly from high school, but if you receive some training while you're in high school or attend community college concurrently with high school, then you'll be more employable, you'll be able to move through their system more quickly, those sorts of things, which I think is a good message to send to the students. The other piece is there are conversations with several schools to aggregate demand and using technology so that we may not be able to send a faculty member to a specific school that is more rural and further from us, but if we can use technology to offer the same course to several schools at the same time, using one faculty member who's centrally located, we realize some cost efficiencies there, and we're able to broaden our reach. So that's sort of our approach at this point.
Chairman Tuss, thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Seck, I have a question relative to what you had talked about earlier, and it's relevant to this conversation with regard to eastern Montana that Regent Albrecht brought up. Do you have a sense of why, and we talked about low-hanging fruit here too, in the more urban areas, do you know why this has taken off more in the smaller communities than it really has, with a significant presence of the university system in larger communities with a unit?
I think part of it may have to do with the smaller schools seeing it as an opportunity to diversify their offerings and bring in some classes, some opportunities that they maybe wouldn't normally have. An example would be the online opportunities, which we market through the partnership with the Montana Digital Academy. But I would also say that there are some AA schools that are doing quite well. You know, Helena High and Capital and Sentinel and Hellgate are examples of AA schools that have, I think, been taking off really well and have witnessed a lot of growth just in the last couple of years. So, I mean, I think going back to the Billings example, I think the 3 AA high schools in Billings have the opportunity, particularly through concurrent enrollment, which is where high school teachers are teaching the dual credit courses. I think it has the opportunity to dramatically change the dual enrollment landscape in that end of the state.
And I wanted to follow up with Regent Albrecht's question. Sorry, I didn't know if you were finished, and I should have, with the Flathead Community College president here. I think she could add something as well. So,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Commissioner Christian, just briefly, I wanted to echo the thoughts on quality, and our faculty are very involved and concerned about, as we offer dual enrollment classes, especially at the high schools, that we maintain the quality and students are meeting the same outcomes that we require. And it's very important as we move through this process that high school students who take a college class are taking a college class, so we're not doing them a disservice and preparing them for something that they think is different than college. The other thing is, I know many of you know how I feel about the Class 8 license. And as you're looking at streamlining it, the only thing I would encourage you to consider, and I've talked to Superintendent Juneau, so she's aware of my thoughts, and so is Deputy Commissioner Seck, that as perhaps a compromise, that faculty who are teaching dual enrollment classes at the high schools are required to have a Class 8 license, but faculty who are teaching a college class at the college, for high school students who are dually enrolled, our faculty don't know they're high school students, they're college students, so why our faculty have to have a license to prove they can teach high school students on a college campus is just something that I still have a hard time comprehending, and we're the only state in the nation that requires our college faculty to do that on a college campus. But certainly if they're teaching at a high school for high school students, I would certainly agree that there's some need to show that they can work with high school students. So thank you.
thank you very much for that. Oh, yes, Superintendent Juneau.
You know, we have a lot of discussions about this, and I know that it's one of the things that the work group's working on around the Class 8 and how that's going to be, but I am committed to working with the Commissioner's Office on streamlining that, or however it comes out from the recommendations of the work group. And I think there are some good voices that are currently on there, and I think something hopefully will change to help increase the number of faculty, particularly on college campuses, who are teaching college courses, to be able to do that. And then on the flip side, I would also bring up the idea that high school teachers need a master's +9 to teach a college credit, and I understand the ability and the idea around quality college courses being offered, particularly in high schools. But also just a reminder that the colleges also offer a lot of those intro-level courses with adjunct professors who have not yet even received a master's degree. And so there sort of seems like a double issue there. I talked to several of them. And so there are those examples out there. And so we need to just make sure there's equity across the board, both for college course campuses who are offering that to high school students, as well as high school teachers who are teaching college credit.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your commitment to working with us. I think that's the message that's going to come through here, and also the hard work is going to happen in the behind the scenes, and we're going to be the beneficiaries of that hard work. So thank you. We have one more thing. Do we have time for? Is there any other discussion on this? I'd like to move on to the last, the Developmental Ed Council. Yeah. If we could. Trying to hit my marks here for time, so, or I don't get to get paid either, right? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Sharon O'Hare, as you know, serves as Vice Chair of the Statewide Developmental Education Council, and Deputy Commissioner Moisey and I are very, very grateful to Sharon for the work that she has done and continues to do. And She's here to provide a general overview of the work of the task force, and then Sharon will, maybe at the very end, I believe the president may have a few comments, President Ingstrom,
Okay.
at the end.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Second. And I have to tell you, it's a continuing pleasure to come before you and report on the progress of the Developmental Education Task Force. Recently, the Commissioner decided to form a Developmental Education Council that will continue for the foreseeable future in order to allow us to continue on the path that we already have. You may remember that last time Deputy Commissioner Seck bumped me from the agenda. I think there was a marching band out in the hall, so with your indulgence, I will give my November report and then briefly give my but I will, pardon me? Okay, and then follow it up with a briefer report for this session. As you recall, the recommendations that you accepted at an earlier, I believe it was last May's Regents meeting, was first the commitment for college readiness for the Montana University System and the Office of Public Instruction to work perhaps even more vigorously together to develop common goals and strategies regarding college readiness. There are a number of goals around that. One of the things we need to do is a better job communicating what do we mean by college readiness to both our traditional high school freshmen and high school seniors, as well as non-traditional students who enter our system at any point in their life. The second recommendation that the task force had and that you adopted was the need to create a common placement system using multiple measures. As you may recall, within the Montana University system, each campus decides on its own what placement mechanism to use, and also decides whether or not to charge their students for that placement test. And so you see a wide array of AccuPlacer, Alex, an in-house placement system. And what that means for the student, particularly when we look at transferability, is a student may have taken a placement test at, well, I'll use this example. They may have taken a placement test at MSU Bozeman, but then decides to transfer to UM Missoula. And I don't know why I choose that particular example, but I shall. But the placement test that they took at MSU Bozeman does not translate to the Montana University of Montana campus, and they are then required to take yet another placement test. And that just seems, particularly in the realm of what I prefer to call common course outcome. I think we commonly call it common course numbering. But when we have the same outcomes for the same course, it only makes sense to all of us on the Developmental Education Task Force that we should have one common placement system. And so that was one of the recommendations we had coming forth. Another recommendation that you adopted was to create 2 developmental education and gateway discipline councils, and those have been formed. Now, there are 2 discipline councils, one for mathematics and one for reading and writing. And when we talk about developmental education, I think it's also to extend that to the first college level course that a student will take. So these are developmental education and gateway discipline councils, and they have been charged with not only investigating the solution to the common placement problem, but also to looking at and sponsoring and encouraging pilots of reform efforts beyond the traditional delivery of a semester-long developmental education course. We have a requirement, we have a recommendation that campuses have standardized tracking and long-term tracking of our students who enter in developmental education courses and track their success onto gateway courses. We know from the multiple presentations that the board has had on Complete College America and what is now Complete College Montana that key to success in college is completing that first developmental education course if that's necessary, but it's also key to moving on to completing the gateway course that follows. Another area in student success and advising is also to look at a policy that strongly recommends and maybe even requires all entering students who are placed into developmental math or writing to register and take those courses in their first semester of attendance, and then to require that they complete those initial courses by the end of the second semester. This is not to say that a student who does not successfully complete by the end of the second semester would be suspended, but it is a call to action on the part of academic advisors and faculty to intervene and ensure that that student gets the necessary support to be able to do that. You're probably tired of hearing me say this, but one of the strongest indicators of a student's ultimate success in graduation from college is the grade they receive in the very first math course that they take in college. And so this is absolutely critical that we, especially for students who enter needing extra help in that developmental education, that we not allow them to postpone that entry into the course and have further erosion of the math skills that they have. And finally, the recommendation is that the campuses not only track the students, but submit an annual report to the Commissioner's Office and a plan for improving developmental education success and progression, as well as any intervention strategies and reform efforts that have taken place in the previous year. So that's what I meant to say. I wanted to say in November, and I'm happy to report on it now. I have a few more things to report, as well as give you a forecast of what will be coming forward to before you in May. We are in the final stages of forming a delegation to go to the Complete College America boot camp on remedial education reform. That will happen in May in Charlotte, North Carolina. The delegation that we've put together has a broad spectrum of representation from both the 2-year and community college campuses as well as the 4-year. We have representation on experts in the math discipline as well as the reading and writing discipline, and we also have representatives from the K-12 system and Bob Curry, the director of the Montana Digital Academy. And the purpose of the boot camp is to bring back even more proven reform initiatives and ways to deliver developmental education in a format that we haven't previously addressed. We also will be bringing before you in May the policy suggestion that Regents enact policy on the need for campuses to report on success and track, and we'll be adding more language and specificity to that. And also on that policy recommendation that requiring all entering students who place into a developmental education course that they enroll and successfully complete that within the first 2 semesters. There will be other recommendations and perhaps even policy decisions that come forward, and I would, at this point, be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yes, Chairman Tuss.
Thank you, Regent Krause. I think this is for Dr. Seck. Dr. Seck, we had a pretty robust conversation at last month's planning session with regard to developmental education as it related to the general ed requirements at a lot of our units associated with math. I'm wondering if you could talk to all of us about that conversation and about how oftentimes the math requirements were more stringent for general ed than they were for the vast majority of individual academic programs at least some of our units.
Right. I'm going to ask Deputy Commissioner Moisey if he would come forward and help address that, because he did most of the research on that about the math requirements and the relationship with DevEd.
Thank you, Deputy Seck, and
Dr. Moisey, if I could interrupt you just for a split second. We do have Governor Bullock with us here today, and we do have a spot for you, Governor, at the table if you'd like to join us. Thank you for being here. Dr. Moise, if you don't mind, a quick answer to that, I'd sure appreciate that.
Thank you. I thought I was going to be upstage there for a moment. Appreciate it, yes. All right, thank you. Well, I knew that, but yeah, we surveyed the campuses looking at math requirements across the system by degree, and in kind of a nutshell, what we found is that our developmental education math sequences are really focused on preparing students to pass college algebra. And that course, though, is only the required course for about 10% of our degrees in the system. And so what we're really looking at is how do we restructure our developmental education math courses relevant to the course of study that a student might take as they declare a major. And so the typical course, I think, is Stats 216. It tends to be more highly utilized than college algebra. So we've got to start thinking a little bit about alignment of those two.
Thank you, Dr. Moise.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Regent Rogala.
This is a comment for Shannon O'Hare. I tried to mention this comment in November, but at least for the developmental educational boot camp, if we could try and find a way to get a university or high school student to go with you to that event, that'd be great. I know it's kind of late in that process, but having student engagement in that dialogue is always pretty helpful.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and it's not too late. We haven't sent our delegation list back in, so Deputy Commissioner Seck and I will discuss that.
Yes, follow up. Yes, Regent Rogala.
And if you're looking for other students, I'm always open to help find others who'd be interested in going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, yes.
Comment, I guess. I know Complete
Superintendent
College
Juneau.
Montana is going full force, and I would just encourage that, well, the governor and the board to also maybe think about putting a K-12 representative on that as well, because of all the transitions that we are talking about, developmental ed, dual enrollment, all those things that tie into Complete College Montana and the agenda behind that. Be great to have a voice from K-12 on that as well.
Thank you for that comment. Any other? I'm going to take public comment now. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take public comment now. Is there public comment? No? I don't take public comment now? All right, I'll come back to public comment. All right. I guess we are getting upstage now. So.
We will come back to public comment, Regent Krause, but at this point, we're very honored to have Governor Bullock with us, and for this part of the agenda, I would turn it over to Commissioner Christian.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we are going to move to the ACT awards, but before we do, we sometimes stars align, and I believe as it relates to developmental education, a few stars are aligning for us, and we have a great opportunity, and like to call on President Engstrom to give us a bit of an update and an announcement of an opportunity for us.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian, Deputy Commissioner Seck, members of the board, Superintendent Juneau, and now Governor Bullock. Thank you for joining us today. I do have the opportunity to make a very exciting announcement that relates very directly to the conversation we just had about developmental education. Too many of our students still arrive at college needing developmental work, and we all have been working tirelessly and diligently to improve that situation. I have the opportunity, the pleasant opportunity, to tell you all that in response to the challenge of developmental education, the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation has just made a $2.4 million gift to the University of Montana and the Montana Digital Academy to launch a statewide project designed to help students move successfully beyond developmental coursework as they enter college. During the next 3 years, the Montana Digital Academy and the University of Montana will implement something called Edready, a curriculum from the National Repository of Online Courses that was developed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Hewlett Foundation. The Washington Foundation gift will allow Montana students to be the first in the nation to use the curriculum statewide. The Edready curriculum is intended to help students boost their scores on commonly used placement exams so that they can begin their post-secondary education without remedial help. The Washington Foundation gift comes after a successful pilot project at UM last summer. The Montana Digital Academy, the UM Department of Mathematical Sciences, and the UM Office of Student Success collaborated last summer on the Edready pilot project, which involved 60 students who took the math curriculum, the Edready math curriculum, online remotely. The results were that 86% of the participants increased their test scores in mathematics. Additionally, 41 students were able to avoid entirely taking 49 remedial courses, totaling 151 credit hours that potentially would have cost those students approximately $30,000 in tuition and fees. This gift from the Washington Foundation is a transformational gift to not only the University of Montana, but the Montana University system and the state of Montana. Because of the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation's continuing generosity and its focus on education, we will be the first state in the nation to offer the Edready program to all secondary and post-secondary students, while also developing a national model that will guide future implementation across the country. I want to take this moment to thank several people who made this possible. First, Superintendent Denise Juneau, who has been so supportive of the Montana Digital Academy and this effort to improve developmental education. Robert Curry, our director of the Montana Digital Academy. Bobby Evans of the Phyllis J. Washington College of Education and Human Sciences. Sharon O'Hare, whom you just heard from in the Office of Academic Affairs. Arash Bissell and Gary Lopez, both of the National Repository of Online Coursework. Mike Halligan and Larry Simpkins, who represent the Washington Foundation and Washington Corporation. And certainly at the core of this, our dear friend, Phyllis Washington, who is so dedicated to the success of students, not only in Montana, but around the nation and around the world. And I would like you all to join me in giving a round of applause as thanks to Phyllis and Dennis Washington. You need to applaud loudly because I think they're somewhere off the coast of California right now. So. Thank you.
Thank you, President Engstrom. That's an exciting gift for us. I think it aligns so closely with both what we're trying to do in Graduation Matters and what we're trying to do within the Developmental Ed Task Force. So what a great opportunity. We will make the best of it. We're looking forward to what it does for us and looking forward to being leaders in the country on this effort. So we, again, thank the Washingtons. We would like to move to the ACT Awards. And I believe to kick this off, we have our good friend, Denise Juneau.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board, Governor. It's really always an honor to be with the Board of Regents, particularly on days like today when we get to celebrate great things happening in our public education system across the board. And I just want to welcome everybody and thank you again for giving us time today to recognize the Montana Award winners of the ACT College and Career Readiness Campaign. As all of you know, Montana is making great strides preparing our students to be ready for college and career. We've raised standards in English and math, so our students will have the knowledge and skills they need to succeed in today's and tomorrow's economy. By the year 2018, 63% of the jobs in Montana will require at least some sort of post-secondary education. We're taking the steps right now to be ready to meet the future. My statewide initiative, Graduation Matters Montana, focuses on making sure all Montana students, regardless of their background, where they live, and where they go to school, graduate from high school prepared for their next steps. The K-12 system and higher education are working together to build a smooth transition between high school and college. We are increasing dual enrollment activities, creating more career and technical education pathways, and looking for ways to ensure that college is for everyone, not just for the fortunate. This past fall, we jointly sponsored College Application Week. Seniors had the opportunity to apply to a college during the school day. 80 high schools and 23 colleges took part in College Application Week. This included 4-year, 2-year, and tribal colleges. The colleges either waived or deferred their application fees, and as a result, more than 700 applications were turned in that week alone. Nearly 40% of those students who filled out college applications would be first-generation college students. And I think that's a huge benefit to our state. And thanks to the partnership with the Office of Commissioner of Higher Education, 2014 will be the second year Montana will offer the ACT to all juniors in our public high schools free of charge. This is an amazing opportunity for our high school students. They can take the exam during the week at school for free and send their scores up to 4 colleges. I'm happy to report that with nearly all Montana students taking the ACT, Montana's average test score is still higher than the national average. We should applaud our students. I want to thank ACT for including Montana in this year's campaign. The people at ACT know that getting a good score on the test is only one indicator of being prepared for college and career. Students who are actively involved in their school and community, who are challenged, who find relevancy in their coursework, and who have a positive relationship with a caring adult are much more likely to succeed in college. Today, we are here to recognize the Montana student, high school, and 2-year college that best exemplify college and career readiness in our state. I'd like to introduce Scott Montgomery, ACT Vice President of Policy, Advocacy, and Government Relations, to give us some background on the ACT Awards campaign. Thank you for traveling to Montana, Scott.
Thank you, Superintendent Juneau, and members of the board. Governor Bullock, it's great to be here this morning. And thank you for the Office of Public Instruction and Great Falls College for hosting this event today. My name is Scott Montgomery. I am the Vice President of Policy, Advocacy, and Government Relations at ACT. And on behalf of our staff in Iowa City and our leadership and our employees around the country, we're grateful to be with you this morning to talk a little bit about the work that Montana has done, but also a little bit about this national campaign that we've undertaken to really support and highlight students and their achievements, institutions and their achievements, and create awareness around the issue of college and career readiness for all. You all know in this room that this is a lofty goal, and it's not an easy one. And so it really does take the commitment of you all at the policy level, but it also takes commitment from institutions and students, from classrooms to training rooms to boardrooms, who've really taken the notion of college and career readiness to heart and have moved it forward in their own lives. Montana, as a state, has taken tremendous strides, and we're just one small example is your Graduation Matters Montana initiative, in which in the last 4 years has seen your dropout rate in the state drop from 5%, which was a pretty good rate to begin with, to 3.5%, which equates to about 800 students this year who are still in school, who are moving forward into post-secondary opportunities and training and into the workforce, which is ultimately the goal of what we want to see every student be ready for when they leave high school. But it's not just about the work you do here. It's also about individuals and institutions, Great Falls College being one, who are training their students for a rapidly changing workforce, working with employers and other institutions to make sure that they're training their students to leave ready for a meaningful career. It's about high schools like Bozeman High School, which are working to ensure that every graduate leaves high school ready for some type of post-secondary training. As Superintendent Juneau said, 60+% of your jobs in Montana will require some form of post-secondary training in the next several years, making sure that high school students leave ready to go into a 2-year training program, a certificate program, a technical school, a 4-year institution is important, and that's the work that your high schools are doing, and so we're here to celebrate their success as well. And it's also about individual students, and I don't think our student is here today, but it's students like Alyssa Braun and others who are really dedicating their lives and their high school careers to trying to make sure that they're ready to leave high school, ready for what lies ahead outside of their K-12 education. So this morning, we have certificates to recognize each of your state award recipients. They're signed by our CEO, John Whitmore, and they really are just an expression of our gratitude for the work that the state has done and for each of the institutions and individuals who we honor here today, and hope that they serve as a small reminder for the work that they've done, but also that they'll serve as examples to others in their community. As Superintendent Juneau said, we have 8 states who are participating in this campaign this year. In fact, today alone, there are 3 events much like this around the country. There's one in North Carolina, another one in Iowa, and yours. We finished North Dakota last week, and then there are another 4 states, primarily in the South, where it's warmer, where I'm looking forward to going next. And they'll be participating in a similar process as you've gone through to nominate students and institutions and then to recognize them publicly for their good work. In April, we will announce 4 national semifinalists for each of those categories, and then a national selection committee of workforce and K-12 and post-secondary thought leaders will select 1 national recipient who will be honored at our National Gala on College and Career Readiness in June in Washington, D.C. So we appreciate you taking the time and the effort today. We appreciate the hard work that all of you have put into this effort, and we're grateful for the partnership with Montana and look forward to continuing that work together. Thank you very much.
And to present the first award to the college, we invite Commissioner Clay Christian up.
You want me to come up there?
However you want to do it.
Superintendent Juneau, Scott, I appreciate you being here. This is an exciting time for us and a great opportunity to acknowledge some of the efforts that are moving forward. As all of you know, the Board of Regents and the Commissioner's Office has had now nearly a decade focus on two-year education, dedicating time, effort, attention, and ultimately resources to that. Probably the most prominent of those was the College Now effort, where we really, I believe, made a lot of headway toward workforce development, preparing students, including first-generation students, to move forward and ultimately to transfer throughout our system, and to expand the comprehensive mission as was reported in the earlier committee today. I think all of those together really embodies what this award stands for, which is college and career readiness, ultimately providing greater opportunities for our students and providing skilled workforce for our state. And that's what this effort has been about, and I think we've made a lot of headway toward it, and it's an honor to be able to have ACT here today and to present this award. Of our institutions, one that embodied what we believe is all the things that this award stands for and are within the goals that we've set out in College Now as we move forward is our host here today, Great Falls College, MSU. And I would like to just read a few things that the committee considered when evaluating this candidate and ultimately presenting Great Falls College with this award. That is that all students are required to take college and career readiness classes. College offered national career readiness certificates for student-based assessment. College has built a strong relationship with Benefice Hospital System, Great Falls Clinic, and other healthcare providers, ultimately leading to what we believe is state-of-the-art, world-class simulated hospital here on campus for our healthcare programs. The college, as Susan reported this morning, has done a great job expanding dual enrollment opportunities. Carpentry students, in terms of outreach, have worked with Habitat for Humanities and their neighborhoods to build a house every year. We have supported students here, Native American students, veteran students, non-traditional students, as we heard from some earlier today. And of course, we're able to open the Brighter Beginnings Healthcare Child Care Center here on campus, which, as Dr. Wolf told us this morning, is now full. So that's an exciting opportunity. Ultimately, building viable programs for this campus and this community. So I'd like to extend our congratulations to the Great Falls team, including partners from the Great Falls Public School System. You all have worked together and worked well to move this forward for students and for your community. So we thank you, and we'll present the award for ACT.
I'm extremely humbled by this honor, and I want you all to know that it is everybody at this institution who deserves this award, because it's our faculty, it's our staff, it's our community, and we have our friends here today from the local school district as well, because we couldn't do what we do without the strong partnerships of our local school district. We appreciate having our high school career coaches that are both funded by the high schools and by this college that go and help those high school students make this transition. We have grown dual enrollment. We're very much partnering with them on the developmental ed things as well, because what we do here ultimately means that we are helping our community to be strong. We're here to attract new business and industry, which just has happened in the last couple of years. And that's what we do best. That's why the two-year colleges do what they do to help our communities be vibrant. And we're just so proud to be part of that and to support the initiatives of the governor of this state, of our superintendent of public instruction, and certainly our board of regents and the commissioners. So thank you very, very much. It means a lot.
And I'm actually big into documenting the event, and so if you would have your partners come up, and the governor will come up, and the commissioner will take a big picture, because that's what we do.
Christine, come on up.
Come, Scott.
I'm good.
I feel like I'm not the superintendent today.
All right, congratulations. It's now my pleasure to present the 2014 ACT College and Career Transition Award to Bozeman High School. Bozeman High School is not afraid of setting rigorous standards. They know their students will rise to meet and exceed high expectations. More than half of Bozeman's students pursue an honors diploma, which requires 4 years of math and 3 years of science. Bozeman High School offers 17 advanced placement classes, and 86% of the students who took the AP test received a passing score. Bozeman High has more than 100 students a year who qualify as AP scholars, and the school averages 9 students who qualify as national merit finalists. A critical factor in a school's success is the willingness to take a look at what's going on, who's taking advantage of opportunities, and who is being left out. Bozeman High School administrators took a look at their data and realized that not all students were taking advantage of AP classes, so they expanded dual enrollment courses to give more students an opportunity to earn college credit. They offered an advanced math course designed to attract students who decide to sit out math their senior year. Completion of this course guarantees credit in the basic requirement for college math. Enrollment in this course has nearly tripled in the last 2 years. Every student at Bozeman High School is required to research a career and use that knowledge to build a 4-year plan. This helps students see the relevance coursework has to their life's ambition. Every year, students from a cross-section of the student body are selected to a special leadership group. This group assembles as a representative forum to express their thoughts and feelings about Bozeman High School. It gives students the opportunity to have their voices heard, and at the same time gives faculty and administration valuable insight about the school from the student's perspective. And I must tell you, I appreciate this bravery of this school district reaching out to students. I have a 40-member student advisory board that gives me their perspective on school policies, and sometimes it's not easy to hear what they have to say, but it is very necessary to hear those voices that are in the ground and who we're serving. Our schools can only get better if we include students' voices. The last statistic I'm going to give you to illustrate Bozeman High School's commitment to graduate their students prepared for college and career is this. On average, 75% of Bozeman's graduates go on to college. Please join me in congratulating Principal Kevin Conwell, Superintendent Rob Watson, Teacher Erica Schnee, and the school board trustees Wendy Tagg, Sue McGrath, and Denise Heyman from Bozeman High School for winning the 2014 ACT College and Career Transition Award. Gather around and you can give a little talk.
That's right.
Commissioners, I'm Rob Watson, Superintendent of Schools in Bozeman. I'd just like to say thank you very much for the opportunity today to speak to you and to receive the award. Our community does value education, and we know that. I think on a daily basis, I hear that the success of our community is directly related to the success of our schools, and everyone in our community understands that. We know that we're now serving more students getting ready for college and career ready than we ever have before, and we're constantly looking for ways to improve that. The ACT award is a great honor for us, and I accept the award on behalf of a hardworking staff at our high school, as well as an entire community of folks that are valued and invested in our great education that we have in Bozeman. The members of our Board of Trustees are here with us today as well because our Board of Trustees has made a commitment to our school district to make sure that all of our students graduate college and career ready. So we appreciate their support.
Go Hawks.
And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce somebody who's very much a friend to education, both higher ed and K-12 and early childhood education. The governor of our great state of Montana, Steve Bullock.
No, thanks. I'd always like to video when people stand up for no apparent reason to at least take home, so then my children might think there's something at least of this whole governor thing. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and first want to really commend Great Falls College and Bozeman High for, you get an award, but it's all of the work that goes into it. And every day is not an award day, but it is making meaningful differences, not only in the lives of our kids, but indeed in our communities. I'm here, I get the opportunity to recognize a student that although she isn't able to join us today, she certainly does deserve both the appreciation and recognition for the work that she does. Alyssa Mae Braun is a senior at Bozeman High School. She really is an inspiring example of a student who not only works hard in the classroom, but also really works hard in the community as well. As a student, she's taken seven advanced placement classes that help prepare her for a successful college career. She's one of 2 students who serves as advisors to the faculty as they work to improve the school climate and address issues such as bullying. And she holds herself to high standards. When she took the ACT examination, she wasn't satisfied with her score,
So she took it, retook the test, and that time scored one of the highest scores possible. Her efforts don't stop when she leaves the classroom. She's worked with the women's shelter in her community to help them raise money so that they can better serve their clients. An active competitive skier, she recently won first place in the West Yellowstone 10K. And as I mentioned, she really does hold herself to that higher standard. She's already been accepted to several universities, excitedly so, including Montana State University. She's waiting still to hear back from a couple of other colleges before making her decision. In college, she already plans to study neuroscience or psychology, in part from the challenges that she's had in her own personal life and seeing what mental illness and other things can do to family members. While she's unable to join us today, someone that's done that much and continues to do this much certainly deserves the recognition and the awareness. So I want to thank her for her efforts to make her school, the Bozeman community, a great place to live for all residents. She serves as one more of those great examples to not only her peers, but to all of us as we grapple with and work with educational policy. Accepting the award on behalf of Alyssa Mae Braun is her teacher who actually nominated her, it's my understanding, Erica Schnee. Are we doing an award now? What?
Good afternoon. Alyssa couldn't be here today. Her family is traveling and her arrangements were unable to be changed to accommodate the award, but I spoke with her yesterday and she was exceedingly excited and honored, and since she's not here, I can talk about her a little. And just to add on to what Governor Bullock already mentioned, Alyssa is truly a student who exemplifies the idea of college career readiness, and she has worked very hard throughout her high school career to be prepared for the rigors of college. She knows exactly what she wants to study to help give back to the community and to people who have similar family issues that she does. So she's an excellent recipient, and I will happily pass this award on to her when we get back to school. So thank you.
You know, I think she is really just one more example of the great things happening in Montana and in schools across the state. We have fantastic teachers who dedicate their lives to ensuring the next generation of Montanans really are college and career ready. We are seeing great things around the state, and I think that, an outsider coming in, as you do, Scott, and noting some of that is always wonderful. Our graduation rates are up, our dropout rates are down, our Montana students consistently outperform their peers across the country in math and science. And I think the availability and the opportunity and the partnerships, having ACTs for everyone and making that ability and the reach of college is that much closer, and still, as we open it up to everybody, outperforming the country, I think is significant. Well, there's a lot to be proud of in our public education system in Montana. I think this is a group, and I'm excited because this isn't a group that rests on its laurels, and we always know that all throughout that there's much more room for improvement. It's why I think that we really are taking steps to build a seamless educational system where Montana students are supported from early learning programs through graduation from high school, college, and graduate schools. And we're doing so in a time where I think that both the elements of the educational system are working together and working together with common goals, which is Governor heartens me. There is always work to do. Right now, Montana is one of only 9 states in the country that haven't made an investment of state dollars and committed making meaningful investments to our earliest human capital, our earliest learners, those in pre-kindergarten and early childhood programs that really do set our earliest learners onto a path toward success. We're working to address this so that Montana is no longer one of those shrinking minority of states whose legislature has never invested in the earliest learners. Here in Montana, we also know that support for our students must continue throughout their educational careers, which is why, as we also talk about everything that's occurring with career and technical pathways, with graduation matters, with investing programs like Jobs for Montana's Graduates, and also ensuring that by the time a student is in high school, not only is it relevant, not only are they going to stay in, but they can see the pathway to our 2- and 4-year colleges. The idea that dual credits have increased 50% as far as the students taking them just in this last year, not only will make it, or in the last, I guess, year and a half, 2 years, not only makes it so that that high school student, that college is that much more affordable and they're along that path, but also exposing opportunities for students that may not have been told on a regular basis that they're college material. So the continuing expansion and knowing that a kid right now who may be 16 years old is getting educational opportunities that often they would have otherwise had to wait until they were 20 or 21. We're also working with the colleges and universities to better align that curriculum with the skills that are necessary not only for the jobs of today, but also to make sure that we're competitive and open and ready for the jobs of tomorrow. Working with private businesses, our colleges were recently awarded a $26 million grant that will help them achieve this goal. By developing that cutting-edge curriculum, it'll help them hit the ground running when our students are entering or returning to the workforce. You know, I said in, I guess, a little over a year ago now, my State of the State address, that really an ambitious goal of increasing the number of our Montanans who either have a professional certification or 2-year or 4-year degree from 40% to 60% by the time we hit 2020. And interestingly, as Scott Montgomery says, you know, college and career readiness, it is a lofty goal. But I truly, truly believe with the people that are engaged and have their sleeves rolled up, people that are, be it on the Board of Regents side, not just looking at the issues that are facing higher ed, but looking at how we can go all throughout our system. It is a goal that is well within reach, and it's a goal that working together constructively, the educational communities, educational leadership, the business communities, and all together that we'll achieve. So congratulations again to Great Falls College. Congratulations again to Bozeman High School, to Alyssa Mae Braun, and thank you all for continuing to work to make sure that our students are afforded every single opportunity and are indeed college and career ready and have those opportunities to stay, work, and raise their family in Montana as well.
Governor Bullock, thank you. Thank you for your deep commitment to the Montana University system. Thank you for being with us today. We look forward to working with you in the future and your administration on a better Montana for Montana students and Montana families and Montana communities. Thank you for being here. Governor Bullock said that not every day is an award day, but today has been one heck of a day of celebration for the Montana University system. Not every Board of Regents meeting is like this, Governor. We've had a great day. I wanted to remind everybody where we were on the agenda. That's probably an important piece before we break for lunch. We are still with our 2-year committee. We have a comment section that we will reopen when we come back from lunch. I know that there are some public comments associated with our 2-year agenda today. And we will now recess for lunch until 1:45. Thank you.